Hello, Octalysis Primers. Today, we have a second part of one of the best interviews we've had with Ricardo from Funifier. Previously, you saw that video where our minds got blown by seeing the amazing case studies that are not just with one project, but multiple projects. But of course, the one that got our attention the most is with the Caixa Econômica Federal Bank, where they actually increased the yearly income revenue by $800+ million. So that's pretty impressive. That's pretty amazing if you ask me. We know that from last time, Ricardo just had so many more examples he wanted to share, so many great things about Funifier, but we just literally ran out of time. And of course, we want to learn, he wants to share. So that's why we're here again, talking to each other. And so we get to learn more about all the great adventures of Ricardo and Funifier, and potentially how he makes great use of the Octalysis framework. How are you doing, Ricardo?
I'm doing good, Yu-kai. It's a pleasure to be here with you again.
Yes, always a lot of fun. I always miss your smile. Whenever I see your smile, it feels like all the bad things that happen the day, half of it just goes away. So I guess I just have to see you twice in a day and all of it goes away. So cool. And yeah, so today I think we wanted to just see again, maybe some more case studies that you have, some more examples, and then we'd love to look into the Funifier platform too, if we have some time for that.
Yeah, I really want to show everything for you and for Octalysis Prime audience. So yeah, today I prepare a couple of other case studies to talk about, to see, and I expect to have time today to go and navigate a bit on some live gamifications, and then after jump into the platform and see how everything all of this works.
Let's do it.
So let me share my screen.
Funifier to be continued. That's a great tagline for your company.
Cool. Okay, so today I want to start talking about one funny case that we had, that we did for Caixa Seguradora. This is an insurance company, and it's part of Caixa Econômica Federal group. So they don't belong to Caixa 100%, but it's part of the group. And at a certain moment, they hired Funifier to create a gamification to engage the leaders of the company. So they have, at that time, 264 leaders that they were trying to engage in a training that they built to educate those leaders. And at the very beginning, none of those leaders were really engaged on those trainings. So they set a goal for us, asking to create this experience in a way so we could interact with each leader at least 6 times a week. So this goal was achieved very fast, actually. And after the first month of running this gamification, we achieved, in average, 89 interactions per week. And there were some leaders that achieved, well, an unexpected engagement. So there were, for example, a lady that that were interacting with the system more than two times a week, and they saw that this leader was so engaged that they were getting people from the family to participate in the experience. They were working at midnight. They were so engaged that they were, how can I say, they were decreasing the time they were spending on other activities that were important, to participate 100% on this experience because it was so engaged. And we were not using any monetary reward on this. One of the asks was to create an experience where we could engage those people without those monetary rewards. And because of that, because of so high engagement on the training experience, some problems start to appear inside because at the very beginning of the project, I advised the customer, hey, I know that you want to engage people here on the training experience, but let's use this opportunity to also bring some business goals to this experience. So, okay, if we are working with a leader that is working on a sales team, let's engage, let's bring to this experience some goals like, okay, some business goals. Okay, if that leader needs to make 10 sales this week, let's put this in the gamification to engage them not only on the training, but also in the business daily activities. But at that time, well, the managers opt to just engage the people on the training. And when the engagement gets so high, this becomes like a problem. So it was how can I say, the amount of engagement become a problem because they have directed the power of this tool and this experience just to one point instead of pointing to all the desired actions that were really important for the business.
You need them to train, also learn, improve their skills, do team bonding, but also do their regular work, maintain operations and sales and all that stuff. And they just, but the training part was so much fun. They just want to do the training. And
exactly. And I just bring this case because this was the first time we had a customer hiring us again to decrease the engagement. So they first hire us to create engagement and then hire us again to decrease it. Mm-hmm. So it was quite crazy because it was the first time that this happened. But I think this is a very good lesson to point your gamification strategy to the right direction as soon as possible. To don't get this kind of trouble that never nobody really expect to see this as a problem in the beginning of a project, but this is what happened.
And this is why in the Octalysis process we start with the strategy dashboard, right? Define the business metrics, the users, the desired actions. So, and I often ask the client, so if this is super successful, your top business metric and your top desired actions, but everything else is mediocre, is that still successful? And sometimes they say, oh, no, people have to do their jobs too. But sometimes this is where sometimes the misconception comes in place, right? People, when you're trying to sell gamification, they'll say, oh, but all our employees are just playing these games now. They're very distracted. They're not doing their work. Is that good? And usually would explain that, hey, look, the game is doing the work, right? If you don't do the work, you can't play the game. But this part, they're playing the game, which is doing the training, but then they are not doing the other work that's important. So these are all very important things to think about. And it's interesting because sometimes a client, if they say, oh, this is not working, they'll just abandon it, but they actually hire you to come back and modify it again, so it's not as engaging. Did they just want to make it less engaging, or they wanted to add more business metrics to it?
In this case, they were so worried about the amount of engagement that they just hire us to decrease and don't don't ask to apply those other business metrics.
Okay.
At that time. And another good lesson that I think it's important to explore here is the way that we use to create this engagement without the monetary rewards. So as you can see, we have used soccer team here.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, we used one feature of Funifier that allows you to transform actions in a story. Okay, like as if someone was telling you a story.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? We group the leaders in teams, like what you have in the soccer, right? The soccer teams, and every week we put one team to play against another team, and there were several teams, mm-hmm. And every game took a week to happen. And how the game works internally. Every time you execute a desired action in the training, this counts as a how can I say, as a movement in the soccer game. Mm-hmm. And at the end, at the first moment, at the midnight, the team with most actions used to do the goal, right? And because there were so many people working and making the training until the midnight, because the midnight was the time to get the goal, they ask us to change the time to see to make the goal happening at noon, at 12 o'clock, to don't, how can I say, to don't get people working for so long. Mm-hmm. And at the end, we had like a real soccer game narrative experience, as if you were listening a person in the TV narrating a game. Mm-hmm. So, Yu-kai dribble. I don't know if this is the term in English, but Yu-kai took the ball from Ricardo. He dribbled Ricardo once again, and then he kicked the ball to Joris, and then he try to get the ball, and Yu-kai kicked the ball to the goal and go. And this brings like the narrative as a real soccer game. Create how can I say this touch in a way with all these leaders, bringing this kind of engagement, and it was a really fun experience. Just talking about different ways to bring narrative, you see. So mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Okay, so another set of projects I think it's important to talk about are some projects done by Caixa to engage the end customer, the customer of the bank. So we have done a couple of projects like this. Every time they want to work with a very specific behavior that they want to change on their customers. And for example, we have done one project to engage the customers of the bank to install the mobile application of the bank. So this was a project just for that. And we use a set of techniques to do this, a very simple set of techniques to make it easier to understand and play. So on this case, for example, every time a customer installs the mobile app and make a transaction through the mobile app, they earn a ticket to participate in a lottery. And if they invite a friend to do the same and the friend do that operation, both receive another ticket to participate in a lottery. And if they do that operations, a transaction in the mobile app during the Black Friday, for instance, they accumulate twice the number of tickets. And so we use this very simple group of techniques here. And every time we use that, we get some amazing results. So for example, when we were doing this to engage them to install the mobile app, we increased by 45% the number of people installing the mobile app, comparing the amount of customers in the beginning of the gamification and in the end of the gamification. So those projects usually they run over 6 months, and then they run the same mechanic, just changing the look and feel, the name of the project, to engage the users to use their internet banking, then create another project to engage the users to use their credit card, just making a simple changes in the desired actions, right? So, for example, talking about the credit cards, if you every time you spend like 50 reais in the credit card of the bank, you earn a ticket to participate in a lottery. So it was a set of mechanics that have been working very well with them. And I think it's important, a lesson that we have here, and it's important to see is sometimes you don't need a very complex set of techniques to produce good results. So if those techniques are well connected, makes sense, it's easy to understand, sometimes you get amazing results with that. And another thing that I think it's important, we have in Funifier, for example, several game techniques to use. One of those techniques are the lottery technique. It's we have a generic version of lottery technique, like, oh, how lottery technique works. So most of the people have a very a common way to see that technique working. But for example, here in Brazil, you cannot use the general way, the general lottery technique. You have a very, very specific set of laws and procedures that you need to follow if you want to run a lottery here in Brazil. And so that's why, for example, in Funifier, we have, for example, the lottery technique, and then you have the Brazilian lottery technique because of all these specifics. Yeah, well, this is more details that apply just here to follow the law. And the same way you have a couple of other countries, you have something similar. There are techniques that are okay to use in a country, but you are not allowed to use in another country. So it's also important to get your eyes on it, because, for example, here in Brazil, if you don't follow the Brazilian laws of lottery, if you get caught running a lottery, no matter if you know or don't know the laws, you need to pay as a penalty.
Yeah, this is very important because different countries, like you said, the lotteries and sweepstakes, there's more regulations. And one of the things is that they want to make sure there's integrity in the rewards, because you could literally run a program that says, hey, everyone give us, some money or buy this thing. And then the lucky winner will win, a free PlayStation, right? And then at the end, you just give the PlayStation to your brother, right? Or uncle or someone, right? And so
exactly.
yeah, and so there needs to be a lot of regulations saying, make sure that there's a lot of transparency, the reward is there for the people, there's not, and this is why most governments run lottery programs. They don't let individuals and companies do it. So, but of course, a lot of these things are seen in games and different places. So there's always this detailed fine line to walk through. And I think if the Funifier platform actually is the platform that has studied a lot of different countries' regulations and rules. So it's just automatic compliant for that country's rule. And I think it's already a huge advantage over generic platforms.
Every time we have something new to be okay with the laws of different countries. Another case that I liked a lot. It's something that becomes a need of a lot of shopping malls here in Brazil, at least.
You're one step closer to greatness. Now check out part 2 to complete your transformation.